Good morning, all. It's a Saturday morning. People are doing their lawns. Air conditionings are running. Super hot outside. I haven't done, well, actually, I have been recording videos, but I haven't had time to do editing. So I decided to scrap all that footage because it's going to take me too long to catch up and just show you what the garden is looking like. So today we're going to do a spot of a garden tour. So get ready for it, y'all. There's a lot going on in here. So we're going to start here in the front garden that we have here, and it's looking pretty wet and lush because it rained last night. And I'm going to try to not be too long-winded, but y'all, so much going on. This might be a long video, so get your coffee out, get your water out, get your Kool-Aid out, and get ready for it. All right, so here we have our sweet potato patch, and the sweet potatoes, you can see the vines are going everywhere. And they're even behind them, and they are competing with space from our pumpkin patch. Y'all, the pumpkins went crazy. There's 2 pumpkins in this cooler, and we got flowers everywhere, and we got a baby pumpkin. Yay! So we already have pumpkins growing on the pumpkin vines. And then we also have some big humongous aloes that are in front. Over here in this part, there's some things that you haven't seen and some that you have. And back here we have some salvia, not salvia. We have some sage, and we have a geranium. And that geranium is just, I probably just need to pull him out because he's not doing good. And then this is the plant that I don't know what it is. It doesn't have any blooms right now. And then also I planted a dahlia on one side here. And on the other side we have a dahlia, and we have some volunteer coluses, because this is the original spot that I had coluses in last year. So they just popped up by themselves. And in this planter here we have some milkweed and some of my dumb cane plants. And behind it in this IKEA bag is something that you haven't seen as well. And these are white potatoes. So they were growing in my kitchen. So I took one of my IKEA bags and dropped them in. So it's almost time for me to start healing those up. Then we have a Geraldine, my lemon plant. This is a Meyer lemon plant that doesn't have any lemons on it. I don't know what I did to the lemon plants this year. They just weren't in good condition after the winter time. I didn't take care of them, and they are not growing anything. So I'm just gonna take care of them, and hopefully next year they'll grow some lemons, because by now they should have some good sized lemons on them, and they have nothing. But they look pretty. And here is my original dumb cane plants that me and Bobby put out, and they are looking quite hardy. This is where I had the cuttings at, and it kind of took me a long time, and I have some zinnias growing in here now. And some other plants, they just kind of have been neglected. And I still have some succulents that I need to just probably leave them in where they're at and just put them out in the garden. And then out here in my front yard, I have a dumb cane plant. There's also some sage in here. And I have one of my ground cherries as well. And I put this ground cherry out here because it had a lot of spider mites. Just like last year, I think the ground cherries in my ecosystem are very prone to the spider mites. So I put it out here, and it's clearly in a pot that's too small for it. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. And then we have one more aloe out here as well. And here we have my moringa plant that actually has a lot of growth on it from it being overwintered and neglected. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, I suspect that there might be roots going in the ground from under this pot, but I haven't checked that because that moringa plant is quite big, and I grew it from seeds. And then we have some more aloes down at the bottom. And here is Gerald, the other Meyer lemon plant. And again, no lemons, no buds, no nothing. I think I just might have overwatered it, gave it too much nitrogen. But it is growing some new leaves, and both of them need some trimming and yada, yada, yada. So on to the main part of the garden. We'll start here in the front, and these are some buttercups. And I transplanted the buttercups. They were all in one pot, and I split them into 3, so they're growing nicely. And behind it, we have some sunflowers. We have a little sunflower patch. And next to it, we have a knockout rose, and this is the white knockout roses. And they're doing quite nicely as well. Here's the other knockout roses. We have 2 knockout roses here, red knockout roses. They're kind of more pink than red. And then we have a white one over there. And down below, this was a blue salvia plant, and I chopped it down because it had a lot of powdery mildew. I wasn't sure if it was gonna come back, but it is growing back. And over here in my little entrance patch that I kind of put together, I have some volunteer cosmos here, and we have a volunteer daisy, which is a weed, but I decided to let it stay. And then I have a sunflower that I planted to see how it would do in the ground. Here we have one of the hydrangea plants, and I cut it back a little bit, and of course they've all been replanted at this point, and it's looking pretty good. Behind it we have the Fruit Loop plant. It doesn't have any Fruit Loops on it right now. And for those of you that are just watching, the Fruit Loop plant is a lantana that I rescued from my neighbors. Y'all, it seems like the more I talk, the louder it gets for the people that are doing their lawn. Like, they know what I'm doing. And here is purslane that I kind of rescued from all over my garden. And I've just been letting it grow, and it's doing well. And these were some rescues for some plants that were growing around in the wood chips, and I don't know what they are, but I think we have mostly marigolds. I think this is a marigold plant. So we're gonna see what happens when they get bigger. And behind it, we have some daylilies that we haven't got any lilies on, but I think I have to do more research on those, and they need to be split as well. I actually planted more beans. These are striped beans. So they're just sitting in the cups waiting to go. And then I also have some mustard greens that have been living in these cups since the beginning of time. So here on the ladder garden, we have quite a few things going. Hello, Mr. Buddha. Behind Mr. Buddha, we have some marigolds. And the reason why it's looking kind of haggard is because I'm going to be collecting seeds this weekend. And so I didn't take the seeds off. So we got lots of seed pods up here. We have some bulbs that never bulbed up, and they're starting to die off. So I think I'm just going to pull those and use these pots for something else. And then this one has a volunteer basil plant, and there's a bulb behind it. So I don't know what I'm going to do about him because I have tons of basil. We have a few aloe plants. Under here I have one little lemon balm plant that came up. Oh, look, and a baby raptor. There's babies all over the place. And then in here we have some parsley as well. And right back here is supposed to be thyme, but I don't know if it's thyme or not. And then we have another aloe. And then on this side we have a delphinium that is not liking the sun, and I keep saying that I need to replant it and I haven't. And here I think this is a gladiolus, and it's dying, so I need to go ahead and take that out as well. Then we have a zinnia from some seeds that from my plants from last year, and it's doing really well, but it does have spider mites as well. So I'm not even going to talk about the spider mites. They're all over the place, and we're just fighting the good fight with those. And we also have some more aloes, and we have more plant babies in here. And these kind of been in here since the last time that I've done the tour. Need to be planted up. Let's talk about the side pieces here, y'all, because there's a lot going on. I tried to keep my my pathway clear so I can bring my cart down, but it's getting harder because the garden has essentially gone wild. Really, like, no joke. It's wild out here, and you're gonna see. So over here on the side pieces, I have one of the hydrangeas. I moved the hydrangeas to this location because it gets morning sun but not afternoon sun. So I'm trying to shield them from the sun, and I also need to prune those back. And then down here In the boots, I put some coluses in, so they're looking kind of cute in the boots. And then I have a tomato plant, and I don't know what kind of tomato it is, but I think it's a cherry tomato plant. As you can see down here, we have some tomatoes coming on. Also have a salvia, which is seriously infested with, I believe, aphid. And then there's also a basil plant in here as well. On the other side here is the other hydrangea plant. And I got these all kind of clumped together because I'm trying to keep the windows clear from my neighbor's house. So if anything happens, they can get out the windows. But we have the other hydrangeas, and I really kind of pruned everything back so the buds are coming back on. You can see some of the sunburn there. And over here, we have a raptor right there. And then we have some coluses that have been doing really good in this spot. And I say it every time I show them that they need to be replanted. I know, I don't have time, y'all. And now below we have some New Zealand spinach that is looking horrible, and I'll probably be pulling that out soon. But y'all, it's time for me to actually start pulling some things out at this point in our Florida garden. I know a lot of gardens are just getting going, but for us, it's almost time to start pulling stuff out. And then here I have 3 tomato plants, and I don't know what kind of plants they are. And I had 2 in one bucket as an experiment, which is growing really well. And then I have another one. And they both have some Parisian basil that has gone to seed. So you can see here, all of this is basil that has gone to seed. And I'm letting it go to seed because the bees love it. And also, this Parisian basil is very fragrant. And instead of chopping it down, I'm letting it stay so it can kind of mask the scent of the tomatoes from the you-know-what worm. So we'll see if that works. Then I have a little volunteer marigold down here in the wood chips. And next to it, I have this massive bush, which is a ground cherry. And what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start cutting back some of the leaves on the ground cherry as an experiment as well. I have been getting ground cherries off of here. Not a lot, but it's kind of got some disease going. And I think I'm just gonna cut it back and see if new leaves will grow on. Then next we have some dill. And next to it, down here, is some yeah, I forgot what the name of it is. I'll have to put it on the screen. But it's some greens, and I haven't tasted these yet, but I'm gonna pick some today and eat some of those. And then here above it, I have an Italian pepper plant that is blooming, but we don't have any peppers off of it just yet. And we have a volunteer basil and a volunteer bean plant. And this one hasn't started making any beans yet. It's been here for a while. I don't know what kind of bean plant it is, but I'm pretty sure it's a bean plant. And I don't know how those volunteers got in there. Then here, this is my ginger forest. And it looks crazy because there is a morning glory that's growing in with it, and it's choking out everything. So I don't know. I was just gonna let the morning glory grow in here, but he's crazy. So I might take the morning glory out. It doesn't have any blooms on it anyway, but it's creating havoc over here. Then down below here are some of my succulents, and they're doing okay here because I actually shade this spot, but they're looking kind of meh. So we'll see how they do. Next to it here is my bean patch, and these are all strike beans, and they look kind of crazy because I was looking at them earlier, but they have lots of beans on them that need to be picked. So I need to go through here and pick beans. Then next to it is my strawberry patch, and y'all, my strawberries are still dying off. I think the ant population in here is like too crazy. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about this just yet, but I do have more strawberries up here in the tower, and there's room for strawberries as well. So I may take some of these and plant them up here. That's a whole nother talk show. Then over here, let's talk about this guy right here. These are some coluses, And these were actually hanging on the side of the trellis, but they fell down because it got heavy. And these pots are from last year. They were kind of crunchy and time for them to go. So it didn't make it. So I'm gonna have to replant those, but they're okay for now. And then I have a zinnia growing behind there. And this is the basket garden. You can't barely even see the basket now. It has colices, geranium, catnip, and basil in it. And they are going crazy. And they're pretty much, as I stand up, they are almost to my waist right now. Well, not waist, but almost. They're up to my thighs. Okay. And then over here we have a beautiful succulent in the Cosmos Forest. And this was a volunteer Cosmos Forest, and I just let it drop its seeds, and it's looking quite beautiful. And then this is my carrot forest. The carrots are still growing. I think by next week I may pull these up as well. So y'all, I'm thinking my harvest, because I got a lot of stuff that I'm harvesting right now. And then on to my my sunshine patch here. And in the sunshine patch, we have a lot going on. There's ground cherries, we have the Malabar spinach, and also some zinnias in here, and they look very beautiful. That's the polar bear, which I will always have in my garden because now I'm gonna have seeds. So I didn't pick this one on purpose because I wanted to see how it grew. This is the first time I had the polar bear zinnias in my garden. So the next ones that come out, I'll probably start picking them and, you know, enjoying them and giving some to my mom as well. But they are so pretty. I love those. Now let's go backwards. Now this is on the outside of my Eden trellis. And down here at the bottom, we have a cuckoozy plant going up. I don't have any gourds just yet, but we have the cuckoosies going. And there's a lot going on this trellis as well. We have a nasturtium down here. Guess we can pick this off. We have nasturtium, and there is a marigold. But I think I'm gonna have to take the marigolds out because these are the big ones. And we have another nasturtium, and I transplanted these marigolds because they were growing all over the place. And I said, let me just stick this in this little bitty pot for some stupid reason. So I'm gonna have to replant that. And behind it is some long beans, Chinese long beans. They haven't started producing just yet. And next to it, we have some colices that I transplanted, and they're going to seed. And I'm just going to let them do whatever they do. I'm not worried about those. Y'all got colices everywhere now. And then these are weeds. So while I'm over here on this side, you can see above, the big leaves are the cuckoosies, and then all the rest and the flowers are all loofah. So the loofahs are coming over from the other side. Here you can see one of the loofahs that's growing, and it's kind of growing in this pattern here because one of the loofah vines kind of grabbed onto this guy and was holding it up. But if you look inside, you can see lots of loofahs. And inside here are loofahs. Y'all, these loofahs are ginormous. Like, this is my arm. Y'all, I don't know if you can see, but it's almost as long as my arm. And they are super big. Look at that. I got big hands too. So we have lots of loofahs growing. Lots of baby loofahs are still popping out of this. So I'm excited about the loofah plants. And below, we have our greens. So we have mustard greens. We have Kapmasuna greens in here as well. And I'm going to be picking these today. And also, this trellis was so heavy that I had to put this lovely colorful board in here to kind of hold it up. So that was a good idea. And on the outside, we have some okra. We have a sunflower that's behind here. And on the other side, we have okra as well. This is the outside of the Eden where the loofahs originated. Because here's their pots down here at the bottom, and then they're going up. And you can really see the flowers. And I call this bee meth because the bees are losing their teeth. They love these flowers, and they're usually all day. You can hear the fuzzy bees all over these flowers. Now I also have some succulents hanging on the side here. I believe this is another green that's there, but it's not really growing for some reason. And then here in this pot is some crazy salvia that's, I don't know. Oh, I know what happened to it. I'm like, why is that laying down like that? But I know what happened to it. And then we have some salvia. They're still looking really pretty. And there's also a dahlia here. And he doesn't like that spot for some reason. So if he lives, if I get to it, I'll move him. Now on to Liz and the bean patch, which only has a few types of beans in here now. Because I actually cleared out all of the contender and harvester beans out. Because they had got disease. They were slowing down on the bean production, but I'm still getting tons of beans elsewhere. So it's a-okay. And on the outside, these are all of my okra plants. And I did harvest okra yesterday. So I don't have any that I need to harvest today. And then on the back here, we have some asparagus beans and we have the melon plants. Now we don't really have any melons going because every time a melon grows, it gets attacked. And so I don't have high hopes for the melons. And let me show you the back of this trellis. So this is what the back looks like, y'all. It's hard to get back here, but I'll have to come back here and I'm gonna spray because I saw some baby melons back here somewhere. But it's easy to get back here, but it's just a lot of foliage, and you know, I don't like stuff touching my face. So on to the tomato trellis, y'all. This is the craziest part of the whole garden. And it is a ton of stuff going over here. And if I had a chance to do it all over again, I probably would do it the same way. So this is growing completely wild here. Let's start down here. So here in this planter is 3 different plants. Y'all, there's 2 salvia plants in here. One that I purchased as a, y'all, I got cucumbers growing in here. I can't even get him loose. But there's okay. We have a salvia plant back here that I got on clearance. And then we have another salvia plant that I grew from seed. And then we have a dahlia plant that's in here. And hopefully it's going to go ahead and bloom. We have New Zealand spinach, and then we have some stevia, and behind the stevia is some more New Zealand spinach. And then we have all our cucumbers growing here. So we have some Armenian cucumbers, and we also have the muncher cucumbers, which the munchers are going crazy now. It took them like 3 months to really start getting going, but now they are going. And then also we have some asparagus beans that are growing all throughout on the top of here. And this is Andre the Giant from a different angle here, but Andre the Giant is one of the Jelly Belly tomatoes, which I have been getting some tomatoes off of. So inside of the trellis we have 6 tomato plants. It's really hard to see, but there's 6 tomato plants in here. One of them was a heat master, it's indeterminate, it's pretty much finished and needs to be pulled out. And then I don't know all of the kinds of tomatoes that are in here, but I think I have a few more indeterminates and determinants. And it's just crazy. Okay, so you can see up here, here's some of the beans that are growing. Also in the tomato cage I have some cucumbers growing in there. So they're just like, I tried to wrangle things in, but they just went crazy. So on the outside we have some okra and a sunflower, and on this side we have a sunflower and an okra. That's a little bitty okra, and this is the sunflower way up there. So that's what the sunflower is looking like. And that's not the sunflower I thought that I planted. So I think, and these were from seeds that grew in my yard, and I think this was cross-pollinated because this should have been a big old yellow sunflower. However, I love it so much, and I'm really excited to see how it looks once it gets even bigger. And then on this side is mostly the asparagus beans, and of course Andre the Giant is everywhere, and olive oil is another one of my tomato plants that's towards the back, and it's growing way up as well. So y'all, this place is out of control. And then at the bottom in this trunk with the asparagus beans are in the back, we have some comfrey, and then we also have some stevia in the middle. And on both sides of the trellis, I forgot to say, we have some miniature roses. So we have red on this side and pink are on the other side, but there's no pink right now. And we have another succulent here. And then we have some succulents and also a marigold, and I love the color of this marigold. And I gotta grab the seeds out of here as well. Then we have a huge marigold plant down here, just went pow. And there is some basil behind it. Y'all look at these succulents, they look quite beautiful. And then we have, there's actually a coleus shoved in there someplace. It's a volunteer. And then we have some New Zealand spinach. Back here, up here, we have a delphinium that looks very terrible. And down here we have another, I think this is an Italian pepper plant. I don't have any peppers on it just yet. And behind it are my celery plants. See the celery. And of course we have a morning glory that's trying to choke out everything. Behind here, it's really hard to see now, but this is the morning glories that are going up on the trellis. And if we look inside, it's very hard to see. We have in here, back there is my blueberry bush. And down here is geraniums. And on the outside, we have some more okra plants that are growing in the bricks here. Yeah, and then this is Francine, and Francine is like a big old bush. She's not really flowering right now, and I think that's because of the heat. And she mostly gets a lot of shade right now because I put up an umbrella in this spot. And below the lily pad, in case y'all don't know, this is the lily pad. Below the lily pad, we have some bunching onions, and they're doing quite well. I relocated these from another area as well. And then here is my pepper row. We have the banana peppers, and I have tons of banana peppers off of here. We also have the blonde bell peppers, which I will be taking off today. And we have the red bell peppers, which I've taken the red ones off, and we have tons and tons and tons of peppers coming on. Y'all, it's really hard for me to get into this spot, but we have 2 tomato plants back here, and we have 2 ginormous basil plants. And on this side, we have some Vining Black-Eyed Susans, and also some more morning glories that volunteered. These are all volunteers from last year. We have a cosmos forest down here. We have some gladioluses that are kind of dying back, and we have some daisies. We also have some chives, some mint, and some oregano. This is my little teepee garden right here, and there's a lot going on here as well. So we have a tomato plant on this side. We have another tomato plant on this side, and they have tons of tomatoes on them. And we have the begonias. Y'all, the begonias are so pretty right now. Now look at the color of the leaves on the begonias. They're beautiful. And below the begonias, we have a sunflower, and we have more basil, because y'all, we don't have enough basil. And this is hard for me to get to right now too, but we have lots of jalapenos. So we have a few jalapeno plants right here as well. On this side of the TP trellis, you can see the morning glories are like going crazy. They have like little tentacles everywhere. And below, we have our cucamelons. So this is the cucamelons. Of course, they don't have any cuckoos on them yet. And they are growing up the trellis, so they're doing well in this spot. And then I also have some more sunflowers here. And I didn't know if they were going to grow good in this spot because it's kind of shaded, but they're doing quite well. And then you can see the other side of one of the tomato plants. And you know, I'm just waiting on this guy. He's going to be a fried green tomato pretty soon. So I have to say, sometimes when I'm going out in the garden now, it's a little bit overwhelming, y'all. This place is so, I wouldn't say overgrown, but there is so much happening right now. And of course, you know, we are putting our whole armor on for all of our summer buggage that is out here trying to steal our harvest. But I have been harvesting a lot. Well, I would say I harvest a little bit at a time. And I've had people that always ask when they see the garden, are you sharing some of your stuff with your neighbors or your family? And I have to say, the garden looks big, but it's a pretty small garden. And the harvests that I get are still pretty small. I get more than most, but I don't really have enough that I can just, you know, take to the church or, you know, just hand out. But I'm getting enough to feed my immediate family. So that's pretty cool. And I always like going out and, you know, seeing a little surprise. Something that I haven't seen the day before. And I know y'all haven't seen the Garden Diaries in a while, but I really just don't have much to share on a daily basis, so I'm going to have to rethink the Garden Diaries for now. Because I'm kind of on the downslope for the summertime, because y'all here in Florida, it's beyond hot. It's crazy hot here. The flowers, or I should say the plants, they're a little bit on the struggle bus. I have been shading lots of plants. I use umbrellas and shade cloth, and that has been working out quite well, as you can see. So things are still looking semi-healthy, but they could be doing a lot better. But I'm proud of myself. It's almost July, and I'm still gardening. Because I think last year, by July, I was overdone with the garden. But I've been taking it easy out there and taking my time and just really, really enjoying the process. Are you enjoying the process out in your garden as well? So I'm going to leave you all with a few still shots of the garden. So don't leave yet. And make sure that you don't leave before you give this video a thumbs up, which you should have already done because I know you're enjoying it, okay? Give the video a thumbs up. Also, I would love to hear your comments below. How's your garden doing? I know all of my northern gardeners, you're just really getting started. But for us, we're like really kind of overdone for the summer. And we're going into monsoon season as well. All right, my garden tools. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.